Hello and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing, and in recent years, for the worse. Summers are getting hotter and winters harsher. Rising sea levels, floods, drought, wildfires, and torrential rain have been disrupting lives across continents. The fight against climate change is needed now more than ever. On this show, we bring you all the top stories on the climate crisis, its causes, its brutal effects, and the warriors helping fight the menace. With global temperatures rising and environmental threats mounting, indigenous communities say they have had enough of being sidelined in climate talks. Thousands of leaders from across the world gathered in Brazil, not just to protest, but to push for a bigger role in shaping climate policy ahead of a major UN summit. They want their traditional knowledge about environment to no longer be overlooked. But will the world pay heed to their voices? Our next report gets you the details.
Thousands of indigenous leaders from across the globe had gathered in Brazil's capital, Brasilia. Wearing brightly colored traditional dress and body paint, they are demanding only one thing: a louder voice in the fight against climate change. Brazil is set to host the United Nations COP30 climate conference this November in the Amazonian city of Belém. And for indigenous communities who live on the front lines of environmental destruction, this is their moment to be heard. They are pushing for equal representation in global climate negotiations and say their traditional knowledge can no longer be overlooked.
We are going to let the world and the government know that us indigenous people of the world, we're still here and we're not going nowhere.
From the Pacific Islands to the Amazon, indigenous people say they are among the most vulnerable to the climate crisis, facing rising seas, receding rivers and escalating wildfires. They say their lives are under threat. In Brazil alone, reports suggest nearly 18 million hectares of the Amazon rainforest were destroyed by fire last year, fueled by one of the worst droughts in the country on record. With the damage mounting, indigenous leaders say symbolic inclusion is no longer enough. They want a true seat at the table, with the same decision-making power as national leaders.
Ahead of the COP30 that will be happening here, there has been a bigger call to have indigenous representation and participation in this process, and the government has announced a leadership circle in which indigenous leaders and representation will be there, but we want to see it actioned. We want to see how this can be done tangibly.
The Brazilian government has announced plans to form a leadership circle of indigenous representatives for COP30. But advocates say that's only a first step. They're calling for the inclusion of spiritual and traditional leaders, particularly those from remote communities, who they say carry a deeper, more grounded understanding of environmental realities.
For me, it would be important that the COP30 invites the spiritual chiefs, the main leaders, and not the leaders who are in the city, because the leaders who are there, in the village, know how serious the climate issue is.
The week-long rally in Brasilia, held under the banner "We Are the Answer," has seen marches to government buildings, demands for action in Congress, and a call to the world. Indigenous communities aren't just facing climate disaster, they're holding the knowledge to fight it. Now, with the COP30 set in the heart of the Amazon, they're asking, will the world finally listen to them?
As global temperatures continue to rise, the effects of climate change are no longer distant threats. They are disrupting lives, stealing futures, and making even the simple act of going to school a daily struggle. In the Philippines, where the mercury is reaching record highs, children are being pulled out of classrooms. Teachers are battling heat stroke with electric fans, and the dream of education is slowly slipping through sweaty fingers. In this report, we take you inside the country's overheated schools, where the fight to learn is now a fight to endure.
Inside a cramped public school classroom, the sound of lessons is muffled by the hum of electric fans. The air is thick, the walls radiate heat, and the children, barely 5 years old, shift uncomfortably in their sweat-soaked clothes. Their teacher does what she can, fighting not just for their attention but also for their well-being in a world that's rapidly growing too hot to learn, too hot to breathe, and too hot to be a child. This is not a dystopian future. This is present-day Philippines. Here, extreme heat is no longer a seasonal inconvenience, it's a crisis. It's no longer just hot, it's unlivable. Last year, for the first time in the Philippines' history, temperatures climbed so high that schools were forced to shut en masse. Millions of children were pulled from classrooms as record-breaking heat waves made learning dangerous. This wasn't a one-off summer anomaly. It was the beginning of a terrifying new normal. In a desperate attempt to adapt, the school year now begins 2 months early. This is to avoid May's blistering temperatures. Class hours have been slashed, children are kept indoors during the peak sun, electric fans hum constantly, and water stations have become as essential as blackboards. As for teachers, the battle isn't just for attention, it's for survival.
You see that the students get drenched in sweat. They become uneasy and stand up often in this weather.
Her classroom at Senator Benigno S. Aquino Elementary School is supposed to be a safe haven. Instead, it becomes a furnace. Last year alone, 6 million students lost up to 2 weeks of classroom time as temperatures surged past 38.8 degrees Celsius. There were reports of heat exhaustion, nosebleeds, and hospitalizations. Many classrooms, built long before climate change rewrote rules, don't even have air conditioning. This year, Manila schools again closed for days in March as the heat index soared to danger levels. The National Weather Service predicts that most of the country will sit under extreme caution or danger heat warnings through April and May.
One of the effects of extreme heat is that students find it hard to focus. They focus more on how to cool themselves down than on class discussions. They usually pay more attention to how hot or humid it is rather than the lessons.
This year, classes are down to just 4 hours a day. A lucky few attend schools with heat-reflective roofing and school nurses on hand. But this is not a strategy. It's a triage. Even basic learning tools like online classes remain out of reach for most.
Yeah, that's actually the challenge. Even now, of course, if we go asynchronous, many of our learners still do not have gadgets and many do not have connectivity. Okay, and that's why it's important that we have modules that they can use. The schools give those modules to them, they can bring these home and they can work on the activities. And then when we have limited face-to-face classes, then that's the time that they discuss the results or their answers in the modules.
Public schools now run in shifts. Up to 50 students are packed into 63 square meter rooms, intensifying the heat. It's not education, it's endurance.
It's really important that the classrooms are well ventilated. We also don't require students to wear uniforms. We allow them to wear whatever is comfortable. We also always remind them to drink lots of water.
The Philippines is not alone in this struggle. But here, on the front lines of a warming planet, the future is already unraveling. In the sweltering silence of overpacked classrooms, The sound of learning is drowned out by the whir of struggling fans, and the dreams of children begin to wilt.
In Indonesia, a nation grappling with air pollution, a unique movement is taking shape. Forget the familiar buzz and exhaust of classic scooters. Indonesians are now turning their beloved vintage scooters electric. A company is trying to turn a love for the iconic Vespas into an environmentally friendly pursuit. Our next report brings you the details.
In the bustling, often smog-choked streets of Jakarta, a silent revolution is underway. Powered by nostalgia and a desire for cleaner air. Forget the familiar two-stroke drone and the telltale plume of exhaust. A beloved icon of Italian design, the vintage Vespa, is being reborn. An Indonesian entrepreneur is not just restoring these classic scooters, he is electrifying them. Herit Frastio, chief executive of the company Elders, is driven by a passion for vintage Vespas, but his pursuit goes beyond mere nostalgia. Recognizing Indonesia's struggle with air quality, fueled in part by a vast number of older vehicles, including nearly 1 million Vespas, Frastio's company is converting these classic two-wheelers into electric vehicles. For many in Indonesia, the Vespa is more than just transport. It's a symbol of style and history.
Vespa itu punya desain yang cukup unik ya.
Vespa has a unique design. I see it as something that has a historical and nostalgic value. It's not just about riding a vehicle, it's also fashion.
Iya, ada nostalgianya.
Since 2021, Elders has converted and sold around 1,000 of these electric Vespas across the country, contributing to the government's ambitious goal of 13 million electric motorcycles on the road by 2030. While the national target is a significant leap from the current 160,000 electric motorcycles, companies like Elders are playing a crucial role in this electric revolution. A fully charged converted Vespa can now travel between 60 and 120 kilometers, with upgraded batteries extending that range to 200 kilometers.
Modifikasi Vespa di
After we begin modifying Vespas in our garage, at that time, we thought that, in the future, this electric Vespa could be a solution for countries that require low emissions from motorcycles.
buat negara-negara yang memang mewajibkan.
However, the transition isn't without its challenges. The cost of conversion ranging from $1,500 to $3,900 and the high price of imported new electric Vespas remain significant hurdles. Furthermore, for some purists, the allure of the original Vespa lies in its iconic sound and mechanics.
Bentuknya itu bisa dibilang
Vespa has shapes that will never get you bored about. Secondly, of course, from the motor's side, the Vespa's uniqueness is its sound. That sound is very distinctive, right?
itu bisa dibilang sangat khas lah.
Frastio understands this sentiment, emphasizing that his company isn't trying to diminish the love for original Vespas. Instead, they're offering a clean alternative for people seeking a stylish and environmentally friendly way to ride.
Many owners strongly believe that a Vespa should make noise. But for US, we are not trying to lecture anyone about pollution issues or anything like that.
Menyasar untuk menggurui mereka.
As Indonesia navigates its path towards a greener future, the quiet hum of these electric Vespas offers a glimpse of a cleaner, yet still stylish, road ahead.
And that's it on Planet Pulse for today. We will see you again at the same time next week. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
Greeting you with aloha and namaste.
I love India.
Presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir.
How do you see Trump's America?
Yes, the current administration behaves differently from the previous administration.
Are you saying that there are foreign powers who are trying to bring down the current government in Syria?
Exactly.
Iran, maybe Russia too.
Prime Minister Modi committed to South-South, cooperations.
Not over 50%. Is Ukraine prepared to pay the price for that peace?
No compromises at the cost of territorial integrity and sovereignty.